Sirsāsana. So this is for beginners, Sirsāsana for beginners. Lois explains that the first time she introduces Sirsāsana to her students is in the middle of the room. So that's, we don't create that dependency from the get-go with the wall, and she just goes and, you know, is there for them when they go up. But I'm gonna show you with the wall now, but if you go to Light on Yoga, the way that Guruji introduces Sirsāsana is in the middle of the room. And you can follow that. It's just learning to get into it, balancing with the knees bent in the middle of the room. Today, I'm showing you with the wall. Let's see. I just put a mat against the wall. It's important to have your forearms, don't have long sleeves, have your forearms exposed. Don't have anything around your wrist. And let's just talk about the relationship between the head and the hands. So for a long time, I cupped my hands. I was doing a cup, and then what was against my head, it was not my palms, it was the back, kind of like this part was against my head and not the palm. So you know, Lois is insisting for a long time, they've been telling Pune to have the palms, the hands against the head. So the fingers well interlaced and the hands really against the back of the head. Okay, the whole hand is touching the back of the head. Let me give you a view here from the bottom so we can dive right into the hand position. I'm not really straight here. Why don't we do this? Okay. Fingers interlaced deeply all the way to the webbings, and that we learn when we do Parvatasana, when we do Urdhva Badangulyasana, not having the fingers loose. They need to be interlaced really firmly all the way to the webbings. The index fingers and the middle fingers parallel to the floor. So the fingers are parallel to the floor, because when the hands start to become undone, they go like this, they turn up. So keep the index fingers parallel to the floor, and the thumbs, they're just, you know, they just interlace like the rest of the fingers. So it depends on the length of your thumbs, but don't have them stand up. Just, they're doing basically what the rest of the fingers are doing. And here, you want to be on the blade of your ulna bone. This bone that's quite sharp, that's the edge, the center of the edge of the outer wrist. You want to be on that bone. And you're on that blade, and look at my hand position. So if I close my hands, it looks like this. So I want to open the hands sufficiently so the back of my head can go in there. And being on the blade of that bone, you want to make sure the hands don't fall in. See here, my wrists have fallen in. Sometimes they fall out. So the index fingers parallel. If the index fingers are parallel, usually the rest of the fingers are to the floor. The thumbs, they're in contact, they're down, and you're at the center of the wrists. Don't let the wrists roll in or out. And then the elbows, shoulder width apart. So can you see here, my elbows are shoulder width apart. And I press the outer wrist down. I'll give you the side view. My elbows, shoulder width apart. I press the outer wrist down and look at my hands to make sure that the wrists are centered and I have enough space for the back of my head to be in contact there. There's no pocket. Lois talks about not having a pocket. So here, I think you can see. Yeah, I'll just turn a little bit like this. Maybe you can see a little bit better. The back of my head is in contact with my hands, and my elbow shoulder width apart, my wrist straight, my index fingers parallel to the floor. And I want to have the back of the crown down. Often, the people are placing more towards the forehead, and that's incorrect. Lengthen the back of the head down. The backs of the ears release down to the floor. The backs of the ears release down. The backs of the ears are vertical to the floor. You see? And the back crown is down. So, having looked at that, let's now... So I'll repeat all of that, except that now I'll be against the wall. I am placing a blanket down. Some people feel that it slides, so you could have a mat folded instead of a blanket, or you could have two mats. I usually have two mats, one mat lengthwise so my feet don't slip on the floor, sometimes they're slippery, and one mat under my head. So I'm just placing a blanket under the head for today. There's a lot of different ways. The fingers have to be against the wall, knuckles against the wall. T-shirt tucked in, please. Interlacing my fingers, knuckles against the wall. I place the wrist the way that I told you, sorry, now you get a butt shot. But elbows shoulder width apart. And taking a look at the fact that the wrists are vertical and my index fingers are parallel to the floor. Elbows shoulder width apart. I lengthen the back of my head down to place the head against the hands. My fingers against the wall, knuckles against the wall. And then from here, pressing the forearms, the wrists, the elbows down, and lift the shoulders away from my ears, and lift my knees. And then I walk in towards my head. Press the forearms down, press the wrists down, press the elbows down, lift the shoulders up, and then I lift one leg up as high as I can, and then I kick with the other leg, heels to the wall. If you're using the wall, have your heels to the wall. And pressing the wrists down, pressing the forearms down, pressing the elbows down, upper arms away from the forearms, upper arms forward, shoulders up towards the ceiling, away from the ears, and pressing the heels into the wall, stretch the inner legs up, and the buttocks away from the wall. Don't let the buttocks sit heavy on the wall. And lift the hips up towards the feet. And if you're just learning Sirsāsana, you can just stay 30 seconds. When you want to come out, keep one leg up as long as you can and lower the other one. Keep one leg up as long as you can, and then the other one will eventually follow. And then you come down. I'll just turn so you can see. You don't need to turn, but this is just for the camera. Big toes together, knees apart. And you can rest the forehead down, but not even. I actually encourage to just sit, interlace the fingers, and do rope one action. I encourage to just go into rope one action because when people are resting their forehead down after Sirsāsana, everything collapses. And here, I don't want anything to collapse. I want the shoulders to spread, I want the neck to be long, and it's more effective to just do rope one action. But if you need to rest your forehead for a moment just to get the blood pressure equalized, fine. But then you come up. Don't stay down there forever, napping away. So this is just the very basic. I did not even address how to move away from the wall. It was just getting up and getting down. So for beginners who want to practice at home, when it comes to Sirsāsana, there's some really important things to take into consideration. You must have a well-established Sarvangasana practice. I made a video for Salamba Sarvangasana. Salamba Sarvangasana and the variations will strengthen your neck so that your neck is ready for Sirsāsana. In your personal practice, just in case you're not aware, you must practice Sarvangasana or some substitute after Sirsāsana. Don't finish your practice with Sirsāsana. A substitute for Sarvangasana Setu Bandha, which makes part of the Sarvangasana family, or Viparita Karani, which makes part of the Sarvangasana family. So Sirsāsana and Sarvangasana are to be kept in balance. You can practice Sarvangasana all by itself, but don't practice Sirsāsana all by itself. You have to, within the same day or hopefully within the same practice, you have to follow with Sarvangasana. And classically, I think you're supposed to stay in Sarvangasana at least twice as long as you were in Sirsāsana so that things are balanced. If you have neck issues and you're not sure how to take care of your neck in Sirsāsana, better to work with an experienced teacher who knows how to work with the neck, okay? There are teachers out there who've been teaching for ages, but they don't necessarily know how to work with specific issues. So you have to work with somebody who knows how to deal with that. Usually, if you have a well-rounded practice of standing poses, forward extensions, backward extensions, inversions other than Sirsāsana, and twists and resting poses, your neck gets stronger and things get organized. So, but if you're just going straight for Sirsāsana and there's no other foundational things that have been well established, then you can run into issues. So be careful with that. If you're venturing into Sirsāsana, but you're not really sure, then just stay less time. As Lois says, if you stay 30 seconds, you're not really going to hurt yourself. It's when you stay for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and you're doing a wrong pose that you can hurt yourself. So be aware of those things. Not to be done during menstruation, that should be obvious. And yeah, if you have any questions, don't hesitate. But happy practice and happy exploring.